Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest installment of Orgvue's webinar series, AI-Enabled Workforce from Insights to Action. I'm Mike Bobek, your host, and I am joined today with me by the one and only Willem Popgieter, who is one of our senior solution consultants, who's going to step through our platform and show some of the latest innovation that we have around supporting organizations and driving AI-led transformation. There's a number of topics that we're going to talk through today. I'm going to kick us off by talking about a little bit of the research that we have that shows why most AI transformations fail, particularly in the workforce planning step. We're also going to talk about some practical ways to connect technology investment to role level impacts and what that means from a workforce planning perspective. And then Willem's going to bring us home with a demonstration of how we can actually connect some of these capabilities together to help with the redesign of work, roles, and structure. So the first thing that I want to do is highlight some of the research that Orgvue's just recently come out with. And we just wrapped up our third year of a report that we've done around AI and the workforce transformation. And there's loads of stats in the research that we've done, but the headline stat for me is that 92% of organizations have invested in AI, but 78% say that those projects have either stalled or failed. And equally, what's interesting is that year over year, over the last 3 years, every year, organizations are saying that they're planning to invest even more in AI. And you can just see some of the stats here that 83% of organizations in 2026 are saying they're going to increase their spend in AI from the prior year. And over a third of those organizations are saying they're going to increase that investment by over 50%. So we know that the investment is there. But what the data also tells us is that there are challenges with implementing AI. And specifically what we're seeing is leaders saying that there are lack of deployment roadmaps with specific ROI targets and efficiency gains tied to those investments. And in a lot of cases, organizations are saying they just don't know how to make AI work. So all this data is telling us is that investment in AI is not really the barrier to driving an ROI. It is really all around execution. And there's something that's referred to in the market as productivity paradox. So if you think about the AI that all of us are using today, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, that can make, in a lot of cases, many of us as individuals 10x more productive. So why is it that organizations as a whole are not becoming 10x more productive? And we kind of know why, right? Because if you think about what AI is doing to work, it's making the work that we do day to day more efficient. But when work inside a company, inside of an organization spans multiple functions, it's cross-functional in nature, it can be fragmented, it can be uncoordinated, and it can be inconsistent. So if individuals are getting access to this new technology, that's not going to fix any challenges that you have around cross-functional work that's happening. The second challenge that you see is that all the employees in the organization who have now access to AI capabilities are using it in slightly different ways. So in a lot of cases, there isn't any standardization or system level impact that we see as a result of that. And if you think about the ways that, and habits that we all have and how we use those capabilities, prompt styles we have, outputs, things that we've trained these models on ourselves, those don't carry through to how you think about driving either top or bottom line performance at scale. And this showed up in some of our research as well, which is that almost half of business leaders feel that their employees are using AI without proper foresight, and therefore they might not be getting the same return on the investment that they had thought. And what I find interesting about this is, we tend to fixate on AI as being such a novel movement in our history, but we've actually seen this lesson on learning how to achieve efficiency gains at scale with new technology as it enters the market. And a good example is around the electrification of factories. And what happened initially in the early 1900s when electricity became more widely available is that manufacturers, what they did is they replaced their steam engines with electric motors, but they didn't see any productivity gains. It wasn't until 20 years later where they actually redesigned the work. They introduced assembly lines, they decentralized motors across the factory, and they introduced new workflows and roles. And it wasn't until then that they saw operating costs drop, greater output per worker, and a more flexible and safer production environment. So what does that teach us? The technology alone doesn't create value by just plugging it in. You really have to think about redesigning the work that goes on. And only once you do that can you really reshape what's possible.